Here's the week 7 video for the new skills that you will need to learn to do this week's homework. Again, we're going to start with the tabs. In the Home tab, the only thing that we're going to look at today is how to justify text. First, we kind of have to explain justify text. Justify is a type of alignment. Remember, you already learned align text left, center, and align text right. We haven't used this one right here. If you hold the mouse over it, see how it says justify. And it actually explains it. It says underneath justify, it says align text to both the left and right margins, adding extra space between words is necessary. This creates a clean look along the left and right side of the page. Well, what does that mean? Also notice that it says keyboard shortcuts, Control J, justify, Control J. So let's say we have a whole bunch of paragraphs, a whole bunch of lines of text, if you're writing an essay, for example. And if you look over here at the right side, see how it's kind of jagged over here because every line is a different length. What justifying does is it's going to make it all nice and neat down the left side, or down the right side, just like it is down the left side. So what you'll do is you'll highlight the text that you want justified, and you'll either click, again, this button right here, or Control J. See what it did to the side over here? See how it's nice and straight just like the left side was? That's justifying the text, and what it's doing is it's adding little bits of space in between different words. Usually you can't really notice it, and that way it can make the end even. So if I hit undo, this is left align, this is justify. See how it changes the edge right here? Left align, justify. Now if we were to right align, now this side becomes all jagged and ugly. If we were to center align, both sides are jagged and ugly. Control J, justify. It's going to make both sides nice and neat. You don't always want to do this, but sometimes it's nice to have stuff looking clean and laid out like that. And you will need that for this week's assignment. Next tab we're going to look at is the Insert tab, and the first thing that we want to click on with the Insert tab, the first new skill we're going to learn, is insert a hyperlink. A hyperlink is it's a website address, it's a web URL, or it's text that you can click on that goes to a website. So we already have the website right here, but notice, clicking on it doesn't do anything. So making it a hyperlink will make it so that you can click on it and it'll take you there. Actually, in Windows, in Word, they make you do Control click. So what you'll do is you go hyperlink, you'll highlight it, and you'll, in the Insert tab, you'll come to the Links group right here, and you'll click on Hyperlink. And see, it puts the address down here, and then up here for text to display, it's going to show the address. But I'll show you something else. Okay, so click OK now. See how it's blue and it's underlined, and it says Control click to follow link. If you hold down the Control key and click it, it's going to open a web browser with the article in it. Now the other option, I'm going to go ahead and paste the same link. So we've already got it as a hyperlink. But say we want it to say the article's title. What was the article's title? Should students be paid for good grades? I'm going to go ahead and copy this, Control C. I'm going to come back here, and we highlighted the link. We went to hyperlink. Now see where it says text to display? I'm going to delete that so it doesn't say the link, and instead I'm going to put the article's title. And now it has the article's title, but when I click on it, hold down Control and click, it's going to take me to the article. So that's how you create a hyperlink like that. The next thing we're going to do in the Insert tab is we are going to put in WordArt. We're going to stretch it. So actually, let's open another new file here. What we will do in Insert tab, and you will go all the way over here to the text group, and you're going to click on WordArt. For this homework assignment, you will have to go to the third row, so 1, 2, 3, and the third one over, third column. It's going to be this one right here, but you see there's a lot of different WordArt styles you can choose from. And now it's going to give you a box, and it's going to say automatically your text here. So for the assignment, you will have to fill in your own text, but for now, I'm just going to put, I like pizza, if I can spell pizza. And that's going to be our WordArt right here. So now notice that it's over here. It is left justified on the page. It's over on the left side of the page. So if you click and highlight, Control E does not center the text because it's within this box right here. If you click here and highlight the whole box, you have to click outside to highlight the whole box. This is a skill we're going to be using several times today. Click here, highlight the whole box, hit Control E, and it still doesn't center it, see? So what you're going to do is, if you want it centered on the page, you have to click on the edge of the box right here, and you'll drag it over to the edge of the page. You want to try and keep the margins about the same. So if it's this far from the edge of the page on this side, you probably want to keep it this far from the edge of the page over there. And now you can hit Control E, and that's going to center it right there. Also with WordArt, clicking on the box and dragging it doesn't change the size of the WordArt. You're going to have to go in and highlight it and change the font size. And remember, Control and those little brackets will make it bigger or smaller. The next thing you're going to do is, okay, you have your WordArt right here, and see the cursor's kind of in the middle. You could hit Enter to try and get the cursor under it, but that's going to move the WordArt around. It can be kind of frustrating at times. So you've got your WordArt here. What you can do, if you want to get the cursor underneath it, just double click, and it's going to put the cursor underneath it. You can double click a little more close to it, but sometimes that's going to get you in that box. Let's resize that. Too much. So see how the cursor's over here? Just double click underneath it. That's going to move the cursor there, and you can hit Enter if you need to move it down. The next skill we're going to look at is how to insert a table, again back in the Insert menu. And there's a quick way to insert a table. You click on the Table button and you just draw how big the table of a table you want, and see it's going to show you on the page what it would look like. But for this week, we're actually going to click on the Table button, and then we're going to go down to the Insert Table options, because there's some things I would like to do a little bit differently. And you're going to get a window with a bunch of options, or a few options. In tables, you have two things. You have columns and you have rows. Columns are what goes up and down, and rows are what goes side to side. So if you think about a normal school classroom where the teacher has desks in rows facing the front of the classroom, and the teacher can walk to the front of the back of the classroom, straight up and down the rows, those aren't actually rows of desks, those are actually columns of desks. So what we're going to do, we're going to make this, let's make 6 columns on the page, and let's make 5 rows. Let's do this the other way. Let's do 5 columns and 6 rows. Okay, what I want to do here is I would like to go auto fit to contents. You'll have to do this week, and that means the size of the cell is going to change depending on how many words you type in it. So let me click OK. Now it's going to give us, see, this small table. It doesn't look very big. Let's pretend this is desks in a classroom, and let's pretend teacher is up there, and that's the front of the classroom. And the teacher wants to make a seating chart. The teacher has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of desks, and there's 6 people in each desk. Only 30 students in the classroom. So if the teacher wanted to fill in names in the seating chart, they could just start typing in the box. And see how it changes the size of the box depending on what you type in there? You can enter and do that. I'm going to go with U.S. presidents because it's easy here. We had George Bush, and then we had Bill Clinton, and then we had the other George Bush, and we had, all right, so that's our first row of students. Over here, the second one, we had, see, and again, now it's resizing these boxes. I skipped ahead and finished filling out all of the presidents' names, but because I didn't really want to have to sit and have you watch while I typed all of them. But this would be the seating chart if the teacher was going to make a seating chart for the front of the classroom. So this is what the table looks like when it's filled in. You saw how the cells changed size depending on what I typed in there. So for example, if I wanted to make Kennedy's name on the same line, that whole column changed. So just remember, columns go up and down, so this is a column. And rows go left to right. So that's a row going this way. Columns are going to go up and down, rows are going to go left and right. The next skill you're going to have to learn is going to be how to center the table. So see how it is over here on the right side of the page? Let's say we want it to move to the center of the page. What you need to do to center your table on the page is click on the outside of the table on the left-hand side, and you're going to drag the mouse down to highlight it. And it's really important that you make sure that, see how out here outside the table is a little highlighted, or make sure you have that, because if you highlight just what's in the table and it doesn't show outside is highlighted, when you try and center it, Control E, it doesn't do anything. But if you click on the left side and you drag down so outside the table is highlighted, you can hit Control E and it's going to center it on the page. You can also go to the Home tab and you can hit the center button, but Control E is always going to be easier. Another thing you're going to need to do for homework is click on the bottom line of the table, the bottom border, and you're going to need to drag it down about 3 spaces, so probably about that far, you know, if you're looking at line spacing right there. See how this is larger than all the rest of them? What you'll do, if you want to even them all out, is click on the outside again and drag those down, and then you will right click and you're going to go to distribute rows evenly, because remember, rows go left to right, rows go side to side. So now those are going to be all evened out. See how the bottom one's not larger than all the rest of them again? So if I undo that, see the bottom cells are larger, the bottom row is larger. Now if I redo it again by right click, distribute rows evenly, now it stretches everything out. The next thing you're going to need to learn how to do is change the alignment within a cell. So the text, the words are already in the center, so you can see that's up there, it's center aligned, but see how all of the words are at the top? Let's say if we want to put it in the very center. What you're going to do is you're going to highlight just the text in the cells that you want to center. You're not going to click and drag on the outside like you did before. You're going to click with the right mouse button again, and you're going to go down towards the cell alignment. See how it has the little lines? It shows you where everything moves, and when you hover over it, it makes the text move around within the cells. So if you watch it, see it's kind of moving around. Well, we want to go for the very center one. If you hold the mouse, it says Align Center. Click on that, and now it's going to put it in the center. The next thing I'm going to do is create what's called a header row. A header row is always the top line of a table, and it doesn't matter if you want there to be a header row, that's how it automatically considers it. If the top line is always considered the header row. So let's just title these. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. This becomes the header row right here. So something I want you to notice, remember how when you inserted a table and you actually came up here to the Insert tab? Well, when you inserted the picture, remember how it gave you a special tab up there for formatting? Well, when you insert a table and you're clicking in the table, suddenly you get 2 special tabs right here, Table Tools. You get the Design and you get Layout. If you click away from the table, the tabs are gone. But if you click on the table, the tabs come back up here. In order to sort data in a table, the first thing you're going to do is highlight everything you want to sort. And since you're in the table, it's going to give you the Table Tools tabs of Design and Layout. Click on Layout, and then over here in the Data group, you're going to click on Sort. And if you look at what it says when you hold the mouse over sort, it says alphabetize the selected text or sort numerical data. So we'll click on that button and it's going to give us options. Remember how we have the header row? The headers are first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Well, if we sort by first, it's going to sort the entire table based on what's in the first row right here, and it's going to do it alphabetically since we have words. So then look at the names. It starts with B, Barack, G, George, B, Bill, G, George, R, Ronald, and J, Jimmy. So it's going to sort all of these alphabetically, and we're going to click ascending, and that means it's going to sort them A through Z. And make sure you have this button checked down here that says my list has a header row. If you change it to no header row, it's going to number the columns, and that means it's going to sort what's up here in the header row. So we want to have a header row for this week. Click OK. Now see, Barack stays the same because he was already the first alphabetically, but then it switches to Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, George Bush, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, because we go B, G, G without the W, J, and R. That's the alphabetical order. And it changes all of the other data too. It changes the orders, but it keeps them the same in the rows. So Barack is always going to be next to Gerald, going to be next to Franklin. Bill's going to be next to Lyndon, going to be next to Calvin Coolidge. Now if we go undo, see it resorts them. Now we have the order different. If you sort descending, it will do it in reverse order. So Ronald Reagan's first and Barack Obama's last in this first row. We can sort by any rows. We don't just have to sort by the first row. This is helpful though, also if we have columns with a bunch of numbers. Let's say, I'm going to take this out. Let's say in the first row, let's say we just want to put numbers. Let's say 1, 5, 2, 8, 15, 4. We're going to jump around a bit here. So again, let's highlight. Go to the Layout tab. Go to Sort. We want to sort by the one that says first. We'll sort by that row. We want the numbers to go in order. And again, there's a header row. Let's sort it by ascending. Now it's going to order it 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 15. The numbers are going in order. Hopefully that makes sense. It is a little bit confusing, but you can play with the sort a little bit. The next thing for table, the last thing for table, is going to be changing the table's borders and shading. So again, you're going to click on the outside of the table right here, and you're going to highlight and drag down so the whole thing is highlighted, and then you're going to right click and you'll go to borders and shading right there. If you want to change the page borders or the table borders, you have all sorts of different options. You can do lines, you can do dashes. It's kind of like the same thing when you had table or page borders, same general options. You can change the colors. You'll have to do that for this week. And you can change the width of the lines. You won't need to do that this week. You can change it so it's a box, all, or you can remove the lines entirely. We want it all for this week. And over here on the preview, you can actually click and undo certain borders. We're not going to do that this week, but it just, the option is there, and you can click on these little things too. You can make diagonal lines if you want. Okay, now click OK, and see, now we've changed the table lines to red. If you want to get rid of them completely, again, highlight them, borders and shading, click on none, and now the tables don't have any lines. So now you have your table and you don't have any borders on your table. If you still want to be able to see the lines, the sides of your table to help you figure out where you need to type, for example, you need to do what's called turning on grid lines or viewing the grid lines. The grid lines are the borders of the table. The borders of the cells help you show where everything is, but it's without having actual printable table borders. So what you'll do is you'll come up here again. Remember, when you click on the table, you get the table tools, tabs, design and layout, and it's in the layout tab where we already are. And you're going to go over here to view grid lines and see those blue dotted lines pop up when you click on view grid lines, so you can see where your table is. They don't actually print though. So what you want to do, and this is the next skill I wanted to show you, is I wanted to take you over here to the File tab. There's two ways to print. You can either go to the File tab and you can click on Print, or you can just go use the keyboard and you can hit Control P for print. Either way, what that's going to do is it's going to bring up the print window here. It'll let you print, it'll allow you to select the printer, it'll allow you to say what pages you want it printed, how you want it printed, all that stuff. But also, it's going to show you over here on this side, this is called the print preview window, and it's going to show you what it's going to look like when it prints. So you see those little blue grid lines that we had there? Those do not show up when you print, because those are only to show you for reference, really, so you can kind of tell where the table is. There's a couple more things that I want to show you. The next thing I want to show you deals with columns. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Page Layout tab. We've spent a lot of time here because Page Layout, again, controls how the page is laid out. You've already dealt with margins to change the page's margins to narrow. You've already dealt with orientation to change it portrait or landscape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change it to columns. So what you want to do is you want to highlight. You can either do the entire page and set the entire page in columns, or you can highlight the part that you want in columns. So let's say we want to set the entire page to columns. And for this week's assignment, we're going to need 2 columns. So we'll click on columns, we'll click on 2. And what you can see, let me zoom out a little bit. Remember, Control, and then, Control, and click the scroll wheel on your mouse. It's going to make it zoom out. You can see that it makes 2 columns here, and it's going to squeeze what was up at the top into 1. Well, let's go to undo. Let's say we have a title at the top. Let's say this is the title. And let's say we don't want that to be part of the columns. What you'll do is you'll highlight what you want in columns. You go up here and you click columns, and you'll click how many columns you want, 2. And it's just going to make that part in columns. The last thing that I want to show you with columns is how to insert what's called a column break. Let's say you don't want this to split from over here to over here. Let's say you want this to be one column and this to be one column. What you're going to do is you're going to click right here, because that's where you would like the column break. And you're going to go, you're still in Page Layout tab, it's right next to columns, it says breaks right here. You'll click on breaks and you'll click column. And if you read what it says indicate that the text following the column break will begin in the next column. So in other words, anything after you insert the break, anything after here, is going to go over on this side. It's going to go in the next column. So let's go insert column. Ta-da! Now we have one column here and we have one column here. The last thing I want to talk about is how to insert a picture. We've already talked about how to insert a picture, but I want to talk about copying one from a website, pasting it in, and resizing it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the website you want the picture from. Put the mouse on top of the picture, you'll right click and go copy image. Don't click copy image URL, that copies the link that goes to the picture, but doesn't actually copy the picture. So copy image, and you'll go back to the document, and you're going to put the picture where you want it. Let's say we want to put it at the beginning, or you'll put the cursor where you want the picture. Put it at the beginning, and you can either do Control V for paste, or you can right click to go paste. So I'm going to go Control V. And that puts in the picture. And see how it's up at the top? Okay, that's great. But let's say we want it over on the side a little more so the text wraps around it like we talked about before. To resize the picture, what you want to do is you want to click on the picture, and you want to click in the corner and drag it to resize it. You do not want to click on the side. See, there's little boxes so you can resize on the side, but you don't want to do that, because what it does is it's going to squish the picture. And in this one, it doesn't look too bad if it's squished. But let's say we have a picture of a person. Let's take Angelina here. Copy. Paste. And if we try and click on the bottom to resize it, it's going to squish her face. She's going to look funny. If we click on the side to resize it, it's going to squish her face. She's going to look funny. So what you always want to do to keep how the picture is shaped correctly, you want to just drag on the side over here. We're going to go ahead and take this out now, and I'm going to go undo so that looks normal. Okay, so click on the side and drag that just like that. And now again, we want to change the text wrapping because we want the text to go next to it. In fact, let's shrink it just a little tiny bit smaller. What we'll do is again go back to that format, Picture Tools format menu that pops up. You have to be clicked on the picture to see it. And we'll go back to wrap text, and let's go with, let's see, square or tight looks good. Let's go with tight. And let's move this down just a tiny bit so it's lined up there. And now it looks good. And that's it for this week's new skills. Good luck with the homework assignment.